John Rawlinson is a retired CEO, but that hasn't stopped this very active retiree one bit. What has slowed him a little, but not entirely, was a diagnosis of a chronic lung disease called COPD that affects the airwaves, making it difficult to breathe. But John has some great advice on that front. Here's his story.
I'm pretty fit, I'm pretty healthy, and I think that's all part of just having the positive attitude, because you can't let any of it get you down, and I won't let it get me down. As a young kid, I was going to school. You know, you'd always sneak a cigarette behind somewhere, but I took it up on a permanent basis probably when I was about 17 or 18. I think I did about 27 years. The COPD became evident after I'd come back from overseas, back in '93. My wife and I took the kids to Disneyland and places in between. And while I was over there, we went to Grand Canyon. And in the Grand Canyon, I'm walking around and I said to my wife, I'm trying hard to breathe. And there's two reasons for that. One, I shouldn't have been smoking. And secondly, the Grand Canyon's, despite it's a big hole in the ground, at 7,000 feet above sea level. So it was on the way back in the plane, I thought, nah, I've had enough of this. We got to the point where we found out through specialist appointments and so on that I was suffering from COPD, emphysema. I now know that my emphysema will never get me worse. What gets worse is the older you get, is your lung function reduces. So with a reduced lung function on top of the current level of emphysema, eventually I'm going to end up probably walking around with a gas mask on. But thankfully at this stage I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because I do what is necessary to stop it at this stage. It will happen, it's inevitable, but let's delay it as long as possible. Part of looking after the problem that I've got is to stay healthy. I ended up going to some rehab classes that they had at the Royal Brisbane, and it's the best thing that happened, because out of those classes I've got involved in now the Lung Foundation, but I got involved in going to the gym regularly. Part of the Breathe program that we did was to look at what you eat, what you drink, exercise, and anything else that can affect your lung function. Because the more weight you carry, the more stress you put on your lungs, the more stress you put on your heart. You do become aware of your surroundings. You do become aware of your limitations. You do become aware of changes in your lifestyle. You do become aware of that you have to change. You just cannot go on the way you did before. And with the support of family and friends, you get around it. And you try to be positive. Even though you've got this affliction, you still have to be positive. You've got to be positive that you're going to beat it as long as you can. Be happy, because being happy and laughing helps. And that's what I'd encourage people to do. Be happy. Because you're dead a long time, don't you?
John's story is unique, but he's certainly not alone. Developing a COPD action plan in collaboration with your doctor is an important tool, as is staying up to date with influenza and pneumonia vaccinations. If John's story has inspired you to help change the future of COPD research in Australia, make sure you visit his Everyday Hero page and show your support. Remember, you can check in with your lungs by taking the interactive lung health checklist too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.